Listen. Short story long.
Welcome.
It could take your whole life.
Preach.
Develop clarity.
Second, patience.
If it scared you, you should probably do it.
Whatever you think you don't have, you have something else in its place.
Listen. Short story long.
Go, Woody, go.
Preach.
Listen.
Welcome.
Mike Diamond,
How are you?
welcome to Short Story Long.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
So I want to give the listeners a little bit of a backstory. We both went to our friend Liz Hernandez and Kevion's Wordiful event
Yep.
roughly last week.
Yep.
And we connected there. You've done Kevion's podcast,
Yep.
and it did really well. And, we were sitting next to each other. You told me about the run that you're doing and the is it a world record?
Yeah, attempting a Guinness World Record.
Okay, so attempting a Guinness World Record, obviously that got my attention. And then you're just like naturally such a positive, energized dude. I was like, we got to do the podcast.
I was very happy. Yeah.
So here we are.
yeah.
This is exciting.
I'm super excited.
I want to start with the run because literally you told me a little bit about it. You sent me some clips, and I'm just excited to learn about it. So I want to just start with
Awesome.
that.
Yeah.
What I've gathered is there's this little girl named Layla who has is it an autoimmune disease?
Correct.
Okay.
Autoimmune. Yep.
So she has an autoimmune disease. They're having trouble curing it, treating it, doing anything for it. Yep. She has insurance. They're not doing anything for it. And so you found out about this and you stepped in and you said, I'm going to try to do something to bring awareness.
100%.
Okay. And then the thing that you came up with is you're going to frickin' try to run 30 half marathons in 30 days, which is a Guinness World Record.
Correct.
Holy cow.
So how it started was, if we backtrack, 2 years ago on my birthday, I have ulcerative colitis.
Mm-hmm. So clarify for me and the listener, what is that exactly?
That's an incurable bowel disease.
And it causes a lot of pain?
A lot of pain. It's very similar to Crohn's disease.
Mm-hmm.
So
like inflammation?
Ulcers in the colon.
Okay.
So I got diagnosed and they put me on a bunch of drugs and that wasn't helping.
Yeah.
So I healed myself naturally. So
How'd you do that?
Diet,
Yeah.
meditation,
Yeah.
and just really being meticulous because they had me on all these steroids and it was messing me up.
Okay.
So fast forward 2 years ago on my birthday in June, so in like 2 years, I had some gut pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, it's my colitis. So I woke up and I was just fighting it naturally. I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym and did a bunch of pull-ups and I thought, oh, I think I've pulled something in my stomach.
Yeah.
But I let it go. My wife comes in. She's like, we're having a baby boy. I'm like, wow, what a great birthday present, right?
Yeah.
So I go to we go out to dinner that night and I barely eat any food. She's like, what's wrong? I said, oh, my guts is hurting. I've probably done something. And she gets angry. She's like, oh, you in these stupid pull-ups. And
Yeah.
So I go on the couch that night because I'm sweating and I don't want to wake her. Yeah. And I'm laying there and I'm like, damn, I don't feel good. So when you have colitis or Crohn's, how you know you're flaring is if, honestly, you have diarrhea.
Really?
I go to the bathroom.
Too?
Painful, chronic pain.
Yeah.
You go to the bathroom and it's solid. So I'm like, oh shit, it's either my colon, it's either appendix or gallbladder. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. So she rushes me to the ER. They do a CT scan. They're like, your appendix burst, you're in septic shock.
Jesus.
No doctor would come. A guy drives from Barstow to Glendora.
Yeah.
Right? Pulls in, literally says to me, you're 50-50. My poor wife's like freaking out.
50-50 like...
To live. Always bad. I'm in full septic shock for 2 days and I didn't realize. I thought it was colitis.
Jesus.
So he goes, I'm taking your colon out. I said, I'm not going to sign a waiver. You can't take my colon out. I don't want to have a bag and wake up with a bag. Get me through the surgery. I'll deal with the pain.
Yeah.
So he gets me through the surgery. I wake up, chronic infections, tubes hanging out of me. I'm in the hospital and he literally says to me, you got 6 weeks to heal yourself or I'm taking your colon out or you'll die from the infections.
Yeah.
He removed 7 inches from my colon. I had a hernia I didn't even know about.
Yeah.
And I had chronic infections. So I can't work out. Now, a year before that, I took top 3 in a men's physique contest in my second contest. Dealt with the colitis. Literally wore a diaper the last 3 weeks. I was shitting my pants. It was that bad because of the colitis, dieting and crap. And then he said, you'll never run again. You'll never do this stuff. Okay. So my baby comes 7 weeks premature. Right. This all happens, right?
God, yeah.
7 weeks premature, the baby comes. So I'm like, I got to figure this out. So literally what I do is I build a gym in the house. And I'm like, I'm going to get up at 4:30 every day, take the baby out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to run a half marathon with my son. I'm just going to run a half marathon with my son. I just had this goal. So I go out and I start training with the baby in the running stroller. And I run it. And I run a great half marathon. People look at me like, what are you doing? You couldn't get a babysitter. Ran it in like 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Had a cruise, felt great.
And what do you think the motivation for that was? Was it just to like be like, not only is this thing not going to stop me, but I'm going to do this kind of to laugh in its face? Like what?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I didn't believe that I couldn't run. I grew up, I was a really good track star as a kid, but not a long distance runner. Yeah. So then this started triggering in my head, and I thought, I wonder what it would take to run multiple half marathons and marathons. So last year I just started running, and I'd go out. And then one day, literally, I went to the track because I'm a bit of a madman, and it's 26 miles. I think it was 102 laps, something like that. So I put a clock on. I said, I wonder if I can run 102 laps. And I literally got out and ran 26 miles. And I got home, and my wife's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I just wanted to see if I could run around a track that far, because everyone tells me stop running. And I'm like, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So I start reading Joe Dispenza, and he starts talking about epigenetics. And I'm like, hold on a second. And I start studying James Lawrence, who did 50 Ironman in 50 days. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in mid-40s. They're younger than me. I'm like, hold on a second. I'm going to attempt a world record. So I'm going to find a cause. I'm going to raise money for a cause, you know? So everyone said run for colitis. And then Rob and Lynette are personal friends, and I saw them with Layla, and I'm like, hold on a second. What's going on with her? Yeah. And they're like, no one will help us. I'm like, I'll be your guy.
Yeah. That was exactly what you needed.
I'll be your guy.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm going to ring Guinness, and I'm going to ask, the record's 18. I said, I'm going to tell them I'm doing 30 half marathons in 30 days. I'm going to raise awareness for your daughter, and I'm going to raise money for you guys.
So the record is 18 half marathons back to back?
Yeah, and I'm going to do 30. Jeez. Because if I do 30, you can only do a half marathon in a 24-hour period. Yeah. So and it's a 30-day period, that means no one can ever break the record. Yeah. So if you're going to go big, if you're going to do it, life is short. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're a madman.
I'm an ex-addict. If I'm going to do, like when I used to do drugs, I'm not going to get I'm going to do an 8-ball.
Yeah. That's what I love about addicts, man, is like, it just feels like that mentality.
It's everything.
You know what I mean? But like some of the greatest achievers are technically addicts, or could have been. You know what I mean? Like there's something about like that mentality of, if you're going to do something, you do it.
Just do it. Go all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple questions.
Okay.
Have you had, because of ignoring doctor's orders and almost laughing in their face and going and doing all this running anyway, have you had any bad physical backlash?
Not since I healed.
Which blows my mind, because does that mean that, like, are they just putting limitations on people because they don't understand what we're capable of? Are they just playing it safe? Like, why I can't imagine how many people must be borderline bedridden that could be out.
Right, absolutely. Well, here's this. So all right, let's look at it like this. Let's forget everything you tell me about myself, in the sense of, you say genetically I'm this, genetically I'm that, right? And I have amnesia. Yep. So neurons that fire together wire together. Hebbian law, right? So if I have a thought, law of attraction, right? If I think it, if I really manifest in my mind a reality, and I take out all the stress hormones. Now, when I say stress hormones, I mean if I'm not in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and I am thinking through compassion and an elevated experience, and I only put in my mind positive thoughts, and I see myself creating and attracting these things, then it doesn't matter genetically, because cells, it's been proven, over a 90-day period rejuvenate. So I could literally have a new body in 90 days. That's why I define age, because I don't look at myself at a certain age.
Yeah.
So it's all mind over matter, because the mind affects the matter and the body's made of matter.
Yep.
Right? So quantum physics shows that when you take a cell and break it down to its lowest form, it's just empty space, correct?
Yep.
We are all energy. So if I create the right energy through my mind, it affects my matter in the right way.
Yeah.
So if they say that I have a dis-ease,
Yeah.
I don't actually take that reality. I'm like, no, that's your opinion,
Yeah.
but that's not my reality.
Yeah. And have you noticed any proven changes? Meaning, have you went back and gotten any tests and they're like, wow, this is
I got a
weird?
blood test. First of all, they said they wouldn't insure me.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, this guy wants to come and do a blood test and all that stuff. I said, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Why? I'm like, my blood work is going to be amazing and my blood pressure's amazing. Guy did my blood work and he did my blood work twice. And he's like, you can't be in your 40s with colitis. This is ridiculous. They gave me insurance.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not going to die and get cancer. The doctor always tells me that if you don't take your colon out, you will get cancer. And I'm like, you are completely wrong.
Yeah. Is that because colitis
Leads to colon cancer.
Got it.
But you got to think about this. Okay, so if I sit here all day and I have sexual thoughts, what happens? I get horny,
Yeah.
right?
Sure
So if
do.
I have thoughts of anger, guilt, and shame, I'm stuck in my bottom centers, right?
Yeah.
All gut problems come from guilt and shame. My trauma growing up, physical and mental trauma, caused my stomach issues.
Yeah.
It was genetic, yes,
Yeah.
but the mind can change everything, even though the environment can affect the gene.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
like Pavlov's dog. You ring the bell, you give the dog food, you ring the bell, you give the dog food,
Yeah.
you ring the bell, you don't give the dog food. What happens? It produces saliva.
Yeah.
So if I can become greater than my environment by how I choose to think and opinion, I break the gene code.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this question.
Go.
What does it actually look like you practicing this stuff? Is this meditation? Is this-
Meditation. I get up at 3:30 in the morning.
Why 3:30?
I'll tell you why. Because melatonin and the pineal gland and DMT spikes between 1 and 4 in the morning.
Okay.
So the pineal gland is the antenna to the superconscious.
Yep.
If you're talking infinite intelligent, like Think and Grow Reach, you're talking source energy from The Secret, ask and it will be given. There's an energy that creates the universe. Now, intuitively, we're connected to that source. The pineal gland, known as the third eye,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
is fully awake between 1 and 4 in the morning. So if you wake up between 1 and 4 in the morning, and Joe Dispenza talks about this and all these guys, and you start asking for what you want
Yep.
and start really diaphragm. I use 2 methods. I use Wim Hof's hyperventilation breathing because that's going to spike the DMT. And then I go into deep box breathing, which Mark Divine talks about. 4 in, hold, 4 out, hold, like the box. And I do about 25 to 30 minutes of that. And then I do all my manifestations.
Yep.
So my day is set. I am only going to attract with my reticular activating system
Yep.
that what I put out, the net will bring it in because I'm primed in the morning.
Yeah. How long does priming take for you?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Then I go straight into hardcore lifting, metabolic training.
Yeah.
And then I go into cardio. And then I read when I do my cardio.
You read while you do cardio? Is that what you say?
Either on the bike or if I do audio, and I get a book a week minimum.
Jesus. What time do you go to bed?
9:30. I get 6 hours.
That's all you need?
Because you know why? All day I reset.
What do you mean?
So I was explaining to one of the guys, like, so if you look at, we all have a role.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the word role, ROLE. Remove obstacles to live empowered.
Yep.
Biggest obstacle we have is fear, managing fear. Fear.
That's what your book starts out
Yes.
with. Yep.
False evidence appears real.
Yep.
When false evidence appears real, we forget everything and run.
Mm-hmm.
We must face our fears to rise above them. So
You're good at those. Damn it. You are. Go, okay, keep going. Sorry.
you feel fear. Think, feel, and act, or feel, act, and think. The environment can trigger fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was saying to him before, so you meet me, Mike Diamond, I piss you off, you hold a resentment. What happens? You have that resentment, you come in the office, why are you in a bad mood? That guy Mike Diamond's a dick, he pissed me off.
Yeah.
6 months later, that becomes infectious to everyone you do, your business, everything. Why are you in such a bad mood? Why is his temperament changed? Oh, because of that guy Mike Diamond, because he's firing and wiring those resentments.
Yeah.
10 years later, he has a temperament. It goes from a mood to a temperament to a personality trait. Now he's just an angry dude.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so true with like, and I just want to take a moment to point out
Yeah.
that is so true with anyone and anything traumatic, unfair, anything that makes you feel bitter, slighted, done wrong. Really, I think when I really learned that, paying attention to how risky that is, because simply having a bad day is the start of a bad week, which is the start of a bad month, which is the start of just who you are. Like, you're just a bitter dude. We've met a lot of just bitter dudes.
Bitter dude.
And I know, or girls, and I know people that are so bitter, and it's like, man, you gotta break that.
Poison.
Like, ugh. But it's wired in there.
And it's white in, so like we were talking about. So then, say you have fear. This is a simple method, and you can use this method, and it will save your life. If you are feeling disturbed and fear, you have fear, you just stop. Stop. Second thing is you take a breath. If you breathe diaphragmatically, okay, with a good 8 breaths, you go from sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze, into parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest.
Yep.
Observe. ST is to take a breath. Observe. I'm either afraid I'm not going to get what I want. I'm going to lose what I have guilt and shame for something I've done in the past, or I'm angry or worried about the future. Has to be one of the 4.
Yep.
Then you proceed. But you create a gap between the feeling and your emotions hijacking you,
Yep.
right, and acting correctly.
So are you doing that throughout the day, every day?
Or every 2 hours, I reset. I reset and I slow down and I breathe and I get. Now I'll tell you why I reset. Let's look at an example. 2 animals are a perfect example. Animals with an undeveloped prefrontal cortex, like a zebra, unlike a primate or a mammal. Primates and mammals actually get sick.
Yeah.
That because they can think and they can fire and wire stress hormones. Zebras don't. They may be a dumb animal and look like a donkey, but they don't. Because you know why? The zebra's at the watering hole having lunch, and it senses danger, and the lion there says, guess what? You're on my lunch.
Yeah.
So it takes off. So it uses its sympathetic nervous system to get away. Now, when it gets away, what's the one thing the zebra doesn't do that we do? It doesn't sit there all day firing and wiring and angry at a lioness.
Yeah.
A dog never goes, I wish I was a cat.
Yeah, it sure
Right?
doesn't. Yeah.
They don't sit there all day and go, that goddamn cat does nothing. Right?
Yeah.
A cat can bite its owner and get away with it. The dog bites its owner, we put it down. But the cat and dog are never resentful at each other.
Yeah.
Right?
And so what you're saying is the animals that can do that can get mentally ill.
No, right.
Yeah.
So they've studied baboons. And the baboons that died of cancer were the ones, the alpha males that fire and wired stress hormones because they wanted to be the most dominant and the most alpha.
Yeah.
So they got angry. So the more evolved you are, the bigger the prefrontal cortex, right?
Yeah.
Your executive function. That's positive if you use it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But it's a negative if you're firing and wiring stress hormones.
Yeah.
So think about it. Someone cuts you off in traffic, right? Or you wake up and you read an email, you do something bad. Then all day you're firing and wiring stress hormones.
Yeah.
How are you in traffic? Everyone's the problem.
Yeah.
If you're in LA and you're mad at traffic,
Yeah.
you're a bit of an idiot.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like moving to New York in winter and complaining about the weather. So,
Or it's literally like moving to Alaska and saying, I don't like the cold.
yeah, exactly. Like, why'd you move here for?
Yeah.
So if you get into the habit, because everything's habit, right? Learned behavior and say, okay, when I feel these, I become self-aware. I become emotionally intelligent
Yeah.
because I become conscious of my feelings. Oh, I'm getting tight. All right. I am going to now manage my emotions correctly by breathing diaphragmatically and use your stress hormones for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So use them at the gym. If you need to flare up, you flare up, but you manage then what happens? You don't get sick.
Yeah.
So I can't get cancer from my colitis, even though it may be genetic, because I don't identify with it.
Yeah.
I don't identify with the disease.
Yeah. That is really interesting. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you have like every 2 hour, do you have an alarm, or you just mean kind of every 2 hours?
No, I do every 2 hours. I just know. I don't set an alarm in the morning either.
You don't set an alarm to wake up at 3:30?
I get up at 3:30. I get up naturally.
Jesus.
When my head hits the pillow, and my wife laughs at me, she's like, I sleep like a dog.
Yeah.
She could literally say, I got to go to bed, and I'd be wide awake. I'm like, okay. And I will literally be asleep.
Yeah.
Because I make sure I get everything done during the day.
Yeah.
And as soon as I wake up, gratitude list straight away.
Yep.
First thing is attitude. How's my attitude? Right? And I adjust it. I get in gratitude.
Yeah.
Then what action do I need to take? Right? To be a success.
Yeah.
And then I stay on that. And I'm grateful of my toothpaste. I'm grateful of my shoes. I'm grateful of everything.
Yep.
Because then that just triggers. And then everything. I got rear-ended on a way to a speaking gig. And I didn't get out until I was calm.
Yeah.
Because I know where I can go.
Yeah. Man, that is something. You just jam-packed so much into such a tight little space there. I know that the listeners are going to be like rewinding and like, okay, now what was the part about the fear is face equals action? Okay, so just to fully wrap my head around the beginning part,
Okay.
how are you bringing awareness? Like, what's your plan? Like, how do you bring awareness to the fact that you're running these 30
Okay,
marathons
so
in
what
30
I'm doing,
days?
I've got a great sponsor right now, or person that donated, North Hollywood Toyota.
Yep.
I'm training a bunch of people at North Hollywood Toyota, and they're going to actually get involved in the campaign.
Yep.
Everyone's going to start running with me.
Yep.
I'm going to be training over the next 16 weeks, which I'm going to do vlogs, podcasts. And the reason it brings attention is, like, everyone runs for a cause like breast cancer. Once we set up our own runs, people will be able to enter the runs and run with us.
Yep.
So therefore, we get enough attention from this crazy person trying to run 30 and 30 and do a Guinness.
Yeah.
And everything that comes in, we donate to the cause to help little Layla out. Because if I don't do it, she'll die.
Yeah.
It's not like no one's going to help him.
Yeah.
And I want to show people with colitis, and I want to show people like that if it only takes one person.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize. I don't just affect one person. I affect 1,000 people.
Yeah.
I smile at people. I'm positive to people. I'm always nice to people. Like, I always go out of my way. I'm an engine, not an anchor.
Yeah.
I
That's
get
a
up
good one.
and I'm driven every morning to drive people.
Yeah.
The great Jim Valvalen used to say that he was the greatest manifester ever with NC State. If he starts here, he leaves the house here, and he brings everyone with him.
Yeah.
As soon as I leave the house, I make sure I am fired up. I'm an engine. I drive people.
Yeah. That's one thing I was fascinated by that I think Kevion really first put me onto was like just the idea of trying to always live in cause and not effect.
Absolutely.
And I mean, even now, don't get me wrong, it's incredibly hard to do at all times, but it almost kind of blew my mind that I never thought about it that way, and to go out and say, this is who I am, this is the type of person that I am, and live that way, live that out, and let the effects come back to you for it, but don't live as a result of what has happened to you.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Well, look at this. All right. So I was just saying to him, so let's really look at the law of attraction.
Yeah.
So let's look at, there's a GPS. Jump in your car. I want to come to Drama Studio. What's the address? Somewhere in Hollywood. Well, where's that going to take me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Law of
who
attraction,
knows?
right?
You might end up somewhere
Exactly.
real bad.
Law
Yep.
of attraction. It says ask, believe, receive.
Yep.
Let's go a little further. Okay. So what do you want? I want something. Okay. I have to believe that I can get it.
Yep.
Ask, believe, take action. So if I say to the GPS, I want to come to Drama Studio, or the GPS is the universe,
Yeah.
but I don't take action, how am I going to get to your studio?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then be of service.
Yep.
What can I give? Then receive.
Yep.
So now let's take it one step further, right? There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be in anything in life. Anything you want to do, whether you want to lose weight, whether you want to make money, whether you want to have a great relationship,
Yep.
anything you want to do. I'm here. I want to get here. How do I close the gap? There's 7 P's that you have to use. Purpose. You have to have a why.
Yep.
Plan. Right? What's my plan? Okay?
Yep.
Take the plan, create an action plan. Okay? Priorities. Some things matter more than others. The 80-20 rule, Pareto's law,
Yep.
right? 20%, 80% results.
Yep.
People, who are you surrounding yourself with? They're either going to bring you up or bring you down. Anchors or engines. Right. Places, where am I going? I used to get sober. People would hang out in bars till 5 a.m. I'm like, how are you going to get sober?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What about perseverance and patience?
Yeah.
Story of the bamboo tree. right? You plant the seed. You water it for 5 years, nothing sprouts. The 5th year, it grows 90 feet in 6 weeks.
That's how bamboo works.
Yeah. But if you don't do the work for the 5 years, what happens?
It dies.
There you go. Doesn't. So think about this. You put an idea out in the world. You want to manifest it. You do the work. And everyone says, what are you working on? What are you working on? What are you, stupid ideas? What do you do? You get off course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I can't. Yeah.
So
you're
if you
right.
look at natural laws, right? You have law of attraction, like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
Law of substitution. You can substitute a positive thought for a negative thought anytime you want. Why? Because I'm in control of my mind.
Yeah.
Viktor Frankl, greatest human being in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Have a look at this is the greatest human being in the world. You have Hitler that resented Jewish people and tried to kill all these people. You have Viktor Frankl, who got positive and created positive psychology
Yep.
through the adversity.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's
Yeah.
like next level.
Yeah.
And people are complaining because they stubbed their toe.
Yeah. I
Right?
get it, man. I get it. I think the moment that you learn, and don't get me wrong, it's hard and it's always a struggle and it's building a muscle and it's all those things. But I think that the moment you start looking at things a little bit differently like that really changes a lot. You know,
Everything
I think the
changes.
majority of people live as the consequence of what has happened to them.
I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
I came from Perth, Western Australia, the most isolated capital city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone told I'm dyslexic. I kind of struggled through school. I was a good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Got kicked out of school at 16. Then had to repeat a year at another school. Was an awful time. But I told everyone I'm coming to America. Coming to America.
Yeah.
Went to Sydney. Okay. Went to acting school in Sydney and then was struggling there. And I was like, I want to go to America. What didn't like, it was just too Shakespearean. I'm like, I don't want this. I'm moving to America.
Yep.
So I'm walking down an open-air mall in Australia, and there's a clothes boutique. And I walked into the boutique, and I said to the guy, give me a job. He's like, and I used to go and say hi. He's like, why? I said, I'm going to save my money and move to America. He goes, you're out of your mind. I said, give me a job. I'll work here for nothing, for a week. He's like, if you can sell clothes to the next person that walks in, I'll give you a job. I said, no problem. A lady walked in. I just looked at him. I said, let me do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know the clothes, but I know me. I know how to sell. So I looked at the clothes in the window. I started, throwing some baits out. And I said, it's a menswear store.
Yeah.
I said, you looking for something for your husband, your son? And she goes, for my son. Now, preparation meets opportunity is luck.
Yeah.
So I said, I got you an outfit. Give me 1 second. I grabbed the outfit from the window and I went into the change room and put the outfit on. And I walked it out. She goes, I'll take it.
Why? Where did that idea come from?
I just improvised.
Yeah.
Now, check
So then
this
you
out.
got the job.
Got the job. Listen to this.
Yep.
6 months later, he wants to make me the area manager. I said, I'm not taking it. 6 months later, a lady walks into the store. I do my song and dance. She buys a bunch of clothes. She goes, what are you doing here? I said, I'm moving to America. She says you should enter the green card lottery. I go, what are you talking about? There's a lottery to win a green card? She goes, yes. I'm like, you're high. I sell her a bunch of clothes.
Yeah.
Next morning, I got a little stone with my friend at work.
Yeah.
She's walking down the mall and I'm like, oh, she's got bags. I think she's going to return the clothes.
Yeah.
So what do? I go in the back and I hide. She's going to return the clothes.
Yeah.
She comes in and she says, hey, I've got a green card lottery ticket for that guy, Mike. Where is he? And I popped my head out. I said, look, I was in the back hiding. I thought you were going to return the clothes. She gives me the ticket. I go to the American embassy. I'm like, look, I know like I sound like a crazy person. Is there such thing as a green card lottery? And the guy goes, yes, but you'll never win. I said, you don't know me. I send the ticket in, but I give my parents' home address in Perth. I'm in Sydney. I go to the guy in the store. I said, I'll bet you $500 I win a green card. He's like, I'll take the bet. You'll never win. I call my parents. Nothing comes. I'm planning to come to America. I'm about to book my flight. A package comes from my parents. I won a green card in a lottery.
How does a green card lottery work?
You send in an application. It's a complete fluke.
And
And
they just pull randomly?
pull randomly.
Like out of how many? Thousands?
Back
and thousands?
then, there was millions because now with the Middle East and all these things, they don't just give them out. But back then, it was like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And I literally won a green card in the lottery.
And you attribute that to...
Law of attraction.
Yeah.
Because I tell you why. Like, we'll go back to the GPS. you have an internal GPS, which is your intuition.
Yeah.
We all have an intuition, our gut feeling.
Yeah.
But we are so consumed with listening to everyone else's opinion. No one's going to understand your vision because it's your vision.
Yeah.
No one's going to understand my vision. It's what I see.
Yeah.
But if you synchronize, the law of synchronicity, like, is a perfect example. I work with guys in car dealerships, right?
Mm-hmm.
A guy calls me yesterday. I'm like, you're getting in your own way. You're getting in your own way. I literally set him straight. And I work with a guy that was selling 2 cars a month. He sells 20 cars a month now.
Because he was in his own way.
In his own way.
Let me ask you this question, because I wonder this sometimes. We all deal with, so we all have intuition, we all have gut feeling. We also all have these fears of
Yes.
maybe I'm an introvert.
Yep.
And I'm scared to go to these job interviews, or maybe I'm this, or maybe I have my biases. I have all these weird things that distort our thinking.
Yep.
How do you know the difference of those biases and those distortions and your true intuition?
Okay, so here's a question. We all have an inclination, and Robert Greene talks about it in Mastery, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I am dyslexic. So reading out loud to me is really difficult.
Yeah.
But yet, I'm an extrovert.
Yeah.
And I can sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's my inclination,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's my skill. So at the deep level, if you get a gut feeling to do something, something triggers you, you have to ask yourself, right? Am I being of service if I do this? And why am I doing it? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like that story. There's 3 guys working on a church. First guy says it's his job. He's a bricklayer.
Yeah.
Second guy says it's his career. The third guy says it's his calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you ask yourself, why? What am I really afraid of? Like if it's the job interview, because some people are introverted. That's okay to be introverted.
Yeah.
You can't have mad women like me running around all day.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because who's going to sit back there and do some of the other work?
Yeah.
So there's a balance in life of some people have an inclination to be introverted, and some people are better with their hands. They're better craftsmen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing to be introverted. But what I always say to myself is, why am I feeling it? What is the feeling? Because your intuition is not a bad feeling. It's a positive feeling. It's bringing you towards your purpose.
Yeah. So you just like, I guess what it sounds like you're saying is if you can get as clear as possible on your purpose, you'll know the difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then this is what I do. Inspire, educate, motivate.
Yep.
Last night I got called to do a talk. I was in Moreno Valley. Perfect example, right?
Yeah.
The talk got pushed back an hour. I could have got frustrated. I get a call from the dealership, one of the guys a motivation coach, right?
Yeah.
Perfect timing. That's why it got pushed back an hour.
Yeah.
I get on the phone to him. I clean him out. He has a killer day, destroys it at the dealership.
Yeah.
The talk gets pushed back another hour. We have to do a Q&A. In my head, I'm like, no, let's do the Q&A. I do the Q&A. There's a kid in the audience. Okay. He needs to be checked. I check him in front of his mum. Then I pull him aside to give him a little pep talk. The mum sends me an email this morning. You changed my son's life. You changed my life. We bought your books. He needed that. Now, I could have screwed that whole day up.
Yeah.
But if I go back to, I want to inspire people by what I say and my actions. I want to show people that a dude in his 40s with ulcerative colitis can run 30 half marathons in 30 days and save a little girl's life and doesn't make excuses.
Yeah.
That means anyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's normal people doing extraordinary stuff that elevates your experience.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And so when you do these runs, you're actually, you're setting up the runs and then people can come run with you.
Yeah. I want to have a whole group of people. That's how we're going to raise the money and the campaign and build the awareness.
And is it all out here?
We're going to do it all in LA. Yeah. Runforlayla.org. People can donate.
Amazing. Okay, so this is the part where I have to wrap my head around how you got here. Like we've touched on a lot of stuff. You're from Australia. You have battled with addiction.
Yep.
You all these different things. Like, can you give me so growing up, you were dyslexic. You were into sports. You said you didn't do well in school?
Horrible at school.
And horrible as far as like paying attention and studying, or bad behavior, or All the above?
dyslexic, ADD, didn't understand it. Genetically, an addict, massive trauma at home, physical and mental abuse. My older brother got measles encephalitis when I was 6. So he went into a coma, and he recovered now, but he was a real mess. So the trauma from that and the physical trauma, my parents didn't know. They beat the crap out of me all the time.
Yeah.
They just didn't get it. A lot of bullying. So I just had to think greater than my environment.
Yeah. And was that just your parents' like sort of style of parenting, or?
Yeah, and I think back then, like even when I went to school, they beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
You get the cane when I was a kid.
That's so crazy to think
The
about.
teacher could seriously whip you. I mean, I got hit by teachers straight out.
Yeah. Imagine that now.
Dude, I played rugby. I was a good rugby player. I had a rugby coach that literally would line you up and drop you. That's how you tackle. That's how you hit each other.
Yeah.
I was playing like full contact Australian rules football. We were like 7 or 8 years old. No pads. We just crushed each other.
Yeah, that is insane.
Now you look at a kid. If a teacher from my era would be a new viral video every week.
Viral and like trending topic,
they get
hashtag
beat by-
lock her up.
Yeah.
Holy
That's what you
cow.
did.
That's true.
But you had respect.
Yeah.
You didn't mouth off to someone older than you because they just punched you in the face.
That's true. It's so crazy.
You never disrespected people.
No. Okay, so let me ask you this. When did the drugs start?
Young, 13.
13. And
Acid, drinking.
all that at 13. Started at 13.
I just messed around with it, yeah.
And was that like, do you think that was like an escape?
Oh, yeah.
Because like childhood life was just...
Childhood life, I was always ready to push the button, but I will tell you this, genetically, the alcoholism's in my gene.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to drink, and I enjoyed it, and it took it away.
Yeah.
And it was a very weird... the problem was in Australia, I grew up with a lot of alcoholics.
Yeah.
Like we played rugby, and we drank, and that's what you did. You drank, and you fight, and you did dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So getting sober, I got sober when I first moved to the country, and then I would dabble in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 2006, it'll be 13 years in April. The point was, it was like, I introduced Army James to Charlie Corwin to go on Miami Inc.
Yeah.
I was shooting a VH1 show with Scott Weiland because we had a bar together. And honestly, it was just cocaine and drinking. It was nonstop.
So that was the main thing at that, like as you got older.
Oh, yes,
Just coke
and drinking. I mean, I did other opiates. I did heroin. I never shooted anything. It was all about snorting.
Huh.
It was really weird. I had this.
You just like had like a line there? Like I will not.
Yeah, that's
just weird.
It's just like I won't shoot anything in my vein.
Yeah.
But I will snort it all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That was my I can't be a junkie because I don't shoot it.
But it makes sense. I
I
mean,
mean,
you know,
in a
it does
weird
and it
way.
doesn't, right? It's just like, it feels like there's something about a needle and injecting.
Yeah,
it
that's
just-
like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But you know what's really weird about my mentality and my discipline is that I could still get up in the morning every day and go to the gym.
That's insane. That's probably why it
Even-
lasted so long.
Yeah, and that's why, because I would think my mentality, which was a stupid mentality, was work hard, play hard.
Yeah. Yeah, you're an animal.
I would
What?
go
How old were you when you won the green card lottery and moved to the U.S.?
24. With
Okay,
nothing.
so then at all through then high school, you're playing rugby, fighting, doing drugs.
Crazy.
Did you have any dreams, goals? Like, were you on the road to anything? I'm going to be a professional
Acting.
rugby player. Acting. Okay.
Acting and music.
Any leads on that, or were you just?
I just went for
hoping.
it. I got into acting school at 16 in Australia. I started taking classes.
Okay.
I didn't understand motivational speaking. I didn't understand. I was very good at motivating people.
Yeah.
I was very passionate at helping people. And there was really weird. So my older cousins gone through a lot of issues, and when I was 18, I was planning to come to America, and I was moving to Sydney, and they've passed away now. My auntie and uncle grabbed me and they said, "Look, we'll pay you to take care of your cousin." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "We'll pay you. You somehow you get through to him." So I had a rare ability to motivate people even as a kid.
Yep.
I could get inside people's heads and lift them.
Yep.
It never was something hard I had to do, but I didn't. I've done shows and that, but it really started to come about when I started to study the brain and addiction.
Yep.
once I started to understand that I could help people in sobriety and, you know what I mean, deal with trauma and meditation, then I was like, all right, that's where I've got to push my energy.
Got it. And what age was that roughly that you started looking at it from that angle?
Oh, God, this is like 13 years sober, 13 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So that's what really,
Yeah,
like when you really kicked it for good, you started getting into like that
then
stuff,
I just knew I had to
understanding
shift
it.
the mindset.
Got it.
And I didn't even, it was really weird. Like I didn't go to a detox. I was like, I'm just going to, it's done. I'm done. It was an epiphany. I was with Scott Weiland, you know, God rest his soul. We were shooting this VH1 show. I could see his wife was leaving. I was completely out of my mind. And there was this epiphany that, shit, I'm on this train with him. It's going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
And I just got off. I literally was like, I'm done. But the typical addict in me, I called some friends. I had a group of friends that were 15 years sober and I was using. And there was a clique of people that I got sober. There was a group of people that were around my sobriety. One of my good friends now, Gabby Bernstein. She got sober around the same time. So there was a lot of people in New York getting sober. So I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. But then the addict in me, I'd go to meetings and people would be like, I do a meeting a day, 90 and 90. I'm like, okay. Then some guy said, well, I do 3 meetings a day. I'm like, then I've got to do 3.
Yeah.
So I'm literally breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
Like meeting.
Yeah.
Commitment. Get people sober.
Yeah.
So I just went into, and then I started doing interventions. And I would literally get on a plane and detox people and drive around and just throw people in planes and get them to detox centers.
Yeah.
And so it's always all in. Like I can't.
I see that.
What? Just life's short.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it.
I'd rather just throw all the chips on the table.
Yeah.
And because I don't believe you fail if you step, you figure it out.
Yep.
You just change the plan.
Yep. I get it.
And
So
I-
then,
yeah.
sorry.
No, go.
Okay. So just to wrap my head around it more, you then won the green card lottery, came to Miami.
I was in Miami.
Okay, moved to Miami. And then you started, how did
nothing.
you, just doing nothing.
Completely nothing.
Drinking and cocaine.
I was off the cocaine and drinking.
Okay.
And this is the story.
Yeah.
This is the crazy story. So I'm in, I get a job in a jewelry store because I need a job. And I started working on a music project. Put a demo together. Guy's like, I love it. So I got some production money from this guy.
Yeah.
Then he kind of takes the money. And there's a guy on the street and he comes up to me and he goes, do you want to work in a nightclub? I said, no, I hate nightclubs, which is the funniest thing. So he goes, it's $100 a night. I said, I'm working in a nightclub. Right?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Listen, so I don't understand the tipping system. And then I realized you tip and stuff like that. I said, okay. So I start hustling and I just would walk around Miami Beach with my pit bull and meet people and I invite them to the club. So I get fired because I'm bringing too many people to the club,
Okay.
which is great promotion.
Yep.
So 3 guys, David, Michael, and Tony, have chaos in New York and they moved to Miami to open this mega club. And the manager meets me and says, I think you need to meet these guys. So I literally sit in a job interview. I don't know shit from clay. And they're like, what do you want to do? I said, I just want a job opening a rope. That's all I said. They said, it's $250 a night. I'm like, I will take it.
Yeah.
They give me the door guy job of the club. I am the door guy of this Miami club with every celebrity coming in.
Yeah.
And opportunity again, preparation. I can do it.
Yeah.
I became their door guy. I met David Frankel, who did Sex and the City. By a complete fluke, I auditioned for a part on a show, a CBS sitcom. He gave me the job. He loved me. He was a musician dude. Had long hair, tattoos. He said, one audition. He said, we're looking for 300 guys. We'll take you. And then I just packed everything up and moved to New York. And then I fell into the club business in New York. I opened Bungalow 8.
Yep.
Me and Armin did it together, my good friend. And then I just was like, I would just juggle things. Like with Weiland, I told Weiland and Duff, I told Weiland many years before, we should open a rock bar. And then I met him through the singer of the band Fuel.
Yep.
Again. And I found a space and I said, I'm going to bring the biggest rock bands in the world to the smallest stage. And everyone laughed at me. And I was like, I think if I throw a party and then bring in the artists, because CBGBs and those places they were horrible because you go and see the band and leave.
Yeah.
I was like, if I throw a party and then put the band on and then put a DJ on, it's a great event. They're like, you're an idiot, it'll never work.
Yeah.
Velvet Revolver played opening night.
Yeah.
Then everyone was like, wait a second. Like, how did you pull this off? I'm like, I told you.
And then how did that lead to being on
The
the?
ink shows.
Yeah.
Army called me. I was in Vegas. I got a job. I did some comedy for a while. I had some fun doing comedy.
Yep.
And then I moved to Vegas, and Army called me. He said, "I'm struggling at Worcester Street. Would you come down and run the shop for me?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I was in there running the shop, and then this was funny. So I said, I want to do the same show in Australia on Bondi Beach. And they're like, they'll never pick it up.
Yeah.
So I shot the pilot and put it out in the world. I said, we're going to do it. Want to do it. A year later, I get this random phone call. Production company picked it up and the network greenlighted it. Now it's on Netflix.
Wow. What's that one called?
Bondi Inc.
Yeah.
And everyone said it'll never happen.
And you're a producer on it?
I was on the first season and I wrote and co-directed the first season. The second season, I didn't go back. It was too much work.
Amazing. Okay, so I want to make sure before we get to the end that we get some because I feel like there's so much. You have so much that's people can put to use. You know what I mean? And I want and I wanted the listeners to really get some of that. So how long ago did you write that book?
5 months. Oh, I wrote it a year
new.
ago. It's been out 5 months.
Oh, that's great.
We've done really well in the last 5 months. It's
Yeah.
been selling really well.
And what's it called?
7 Steps to an Unbreakable Mindset.
Yeah. And we talked about it. It's short.
150 pages.
150
Simple.
pages. Not daunting.
Nope.
Not scary.
Nope.
Jam-packed full of info.
Yep.
You do motivational speaking.
Yep.
You coach people.
Yep.
You work with a lot of addicts.
Yep.
Keep people focused.
Yep.
What's the biggest difference? Let me ask you that because I haven't had a lot of people that work with addicts. What's the biggest hindrance? What's the biggest thing that keeps people going back?
I always say it's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There has to, if you can get the first step right in any recovery, which is you have to surrender and turn your will over to a higher power.
Yeah.
If you get that and you're willing to say a day at a time, I'm not going to, have sex. I'm not going to gamble. I'm not going to do drugs. You're going to make it. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest thing. The simple thing is you've got to put it down.
Yeah.
It's the commitment. The rest of it's just work then.
Yeah. And how far do you think, because this is one sort of thought that I have is, it seems like a lot of the same principles, even including that one, that apply to addicts and people struggling with addiction, apply to people trying to do literally anything. Like if you're trying to lose weight, the same principle applies. Trying to gain weight, trying to start a company, trying to do it. Do you agree? Is that
100%.
directly related to each other?
100%.
Yeah.
Because they're principles.
Yeah.
You know
And
what
it's
I mean?
all habits, right?
All habit.
And just changing habit is one of the hardest things in the world.
Yeah. Because we get so locked into routine.
Yeah.
But if you break the habit of being yourself and you break the habit of doing the negative things, no one wants to get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning. Now, here's another thing. If I say, so I don't tell people to get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning, but I look at it like this. If I want to do 2 to 3 hours of training and beat my son up in the morning, I got to get up at 3:30. Yeah. Right? Because if I don't, then I've got to push him in the stroller and I've got to carry him when I do my pull-ups. So that's where my daily ritual starts.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean everyone has to get up at 3:30? No, but that's what I choose to do because then I am so far ahead. My day is so set. Doesn't matter what happens after that. I got my training in, I got my meditation in, I got my inventory in, got my reading in. Yeah. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, this is kind of a bit of a cliche question, but I'm curious. Same way I asked with addicts, what do you think is the main thing that holds people back from being who they? I mean, for instance, you mentioned when you talk to the guys that work at the dealership, and you see people that are so clear on what they want to do. With that job, I want to sell X amount of cars a month, right? It's very clear what your goal is, but still getting from A to B is so difficult. Is there a repeating thing that you see in people's lives that holds them back from their own success? Or
Well, absolutely. So here's the thing. You have to be so convicted with your purpose and your vision has to be so clear. Your mind movie of what you want. There is no doubt in my mind for 1 second that I will not run 30 and 30. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's been proven, right, that when they took the kids, I think it was at Stanford, they took 40 kids in 4 groups,
Yeah.
and they made them throw 3 throws, and then they took an average. Then the first group came back, had to practice. The second group was told to do nothing. The third group played randomly, and the fourth group had to visualize.
Yeah.
When they brought them back, the first group improved 30%, second and third group didn't improve, but the fourth group from mental rehearsal improved 24%.
Yeah. That happened with piano too. They've done that on
Exactly.
piano.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So it's, if I see myself with a clear intention
Yeah.
doing it, then I'm only going to bring in my reality
Yeah.
that makes sense to that, right? So I feel like if you want to start a business, like that's a perfect example, okay? Your cousin is successful, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't get successful because of your cousin,
No.
right? But if someone might say, well, your cousin's successful. And you're like, that has nothing to do with my reality.
Yeah.
But people get it skewered thinking, well, you've got a successful cousin.
Yeah.
How does that have to do with you?
Yeah.
That doesn't get you up in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's where people make the mistake where they say, well, if I had $1 million, I'm like, you'd have 1 million problems.
Yeah.
Where are you going to invest it? Well, I don't know. Exactly. So someone will rip you off.
Yeah.
You didn't earn it. So in life, it's literally every morning. There's a reset every day. What happened yesterday, it's done.
Yeah.
Yesterday's food doesn't keep me full today.
Yeah.
If you sweep the floor once, what? You have a dirty floor. So to flourish in life, you have to de-weed the negative.
Yeah.
So if you have a rose bush and you go out and you want beautiful roses, right, what happens? Weeds are going to come out.
Yeah.
If you don't get rid of the weeds and fertilize the roses, they don't flourish. So the mind has to always be de-weeding.
Yeah.
So when you hit the wall and you say to yourself, I have fear, you just got to say, what am I afraid of really?
Yeah.
And let's be honest here. This is what motivates me. They say the average American lives about 78 to 80 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put that number on my wall. I take away my age, and then I take how many hours I sleep. Let's say you're left with 20. Imagine if you have 20 summers left. You're going to waste any time.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit. 20 summers sounds
Right.
light.
Now, I have it on my vision board,
Yeah.
right? All the people that I've lost. I just lost a friend who's 45, brain tumor, right? 3 kids. I have a picture of Wyland and all the people that I've lost.
Yep.
That meant something to me. Then I have the things I've achieved, so I know it's possible. And then I have people that I know have achieved great things, that have faced adversity, right?
Yep.
So I see those things every day. Then I have that number, and I say, am I going to waste a moment knowing there's no guarantees?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Why waste your moments, right?
Here's a big one, because I've met a lot of people. I met a lot of young people, and this is a tough one, that are so hungry. And, I believe, to be honest, that very few people are like truly lazy, right? Like I think people give up. And I think people think that they don't have a shot for whatever reason, where they're from, who they are, what their parents told them, whatever it is. And so you've more given up than are truly just a lazy pile of shit, right? So, but a lot of people ask me, how do you find that thing to even place your aim at, to find your purpose, to find that thing? I understand that once you find it, you got to visualize it and you got to make it real and you got to whatever. Any suggestion on how to find what it even is if you're a young person listening to this and you're like, man, maybe I'm 2 years into college and that's not inspiring me. Maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that. How do I even pick that thing? Or do I start small and let that turn into something? Or
I think everyone is born with a personality, and I think Ray Dalio did it really well in Principles when he says, when he used to hire people and take a personality test.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Carl Jung personality test is really well written, and then you start to answer questions, and when you answer those questions, you kind of see the kind of person you are.
Mm-hmm. Where do you take that at? Do you know?
You can go online. It's
What do
just a
you
free
search?
personality test. Look up free personality test.
Okay.
Straight away when I did that years ago, it said protagonist, motivational speaker, and I was like, yeah, whatever, motivational speaker.
Yeah.
But then I did it years later, and I was like, when I was sober, I was like, it's so right. It's me.
Yeah.
Because your natural inclinations and personalities don't change. I've always been a positive, outgoing person.
Yep.
From 5 years old, I walked into the preschool and introduced myself to every kid.
Yep.
I always said hi to the neighbors. I'm that guy that walks around the grocery store, even to today, says hi to everyone. I've always been outgoing. I always want to make people feel good. And I always want to lift people. That's not something I have to think about.
Yep.
So then if I do some study, study the brain, study motivation, study people. Then I start writing, and then I start applying the principles. And then I like to be like, people talk about the growth mindset, which I think is brilliant. Yeah. But I talk about a flexible mindset, because you can grow, but if you don't have flexibility, you pull a muscle.
Yeah. So
I always look at the palm tree analogy. That's the only thing that doesn't break in a hurricane. You've seen them. They bend, right?
Yeah.
So in life, when the hurricane of life shows up, you have to learn to bend, not break.
Yeah.
So creating a flexible mindset is being able to stay present in the moment when the adversity comes, and then create solutions to your problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And then you just start to try to,
just figure it out.
yeah.
Go small and make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, right? Whether you put Bill Gates in a box next to me, what happens? It's just the stuff he did.
Yeah.
There's no U-Haul, right, behind a hearse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no moving van. You're dead.
Yeah.
I think the greatest thing people should do, and I tell people when I coach them, is this. Write out your bio. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, write out what you want people to say about you when you're dead.
Yep.
And then ask yourself why you aren't living that way. Knowing people say there's two guarantees, death and taxes. No, there's death. You know why? Some people don't pay their taxes.
Yeah, that's right. That's very right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have, I always look at it like this, and I heard this when I was 16 and it changed my life. The time will change, but the place remains the same. I can't go back in time, but I can go back to a place I spent time. Mm-hmm. When I go back to see all my friends in high school, they're like, you actually got out and did it. Mm-hmm. I told them, blue in the face, I'm coming to America. I'm going to shoot TV shows. I'm going to put out books. To this day, all my high school friends are like, dude, you did it.
Yeah.
We thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
I lived the American dream because I was like, people that bash this country need to leave. Yeah. This is the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
From day one when I got here, because I was positive and wanted to do the work, people were so embracing. Yeah. I love this country.
Yeah, you can do anything.
It's the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I love. I mean, to be honest, not that I'm some like super extra like patriotic guy, but when I was reading your stuff and it said that you won the green card lottery, and it's just like the thought of like, man, like somebody entered a lottery just crossing their fingers and hoping that they would get a chance to come to America and have the opportunity. And I was born here. I didn't have to do any of that.
Right.
You know
And that's
I mean?
what, like, with me, it was like, when people bash this country, I'm like, leave.
Yeah.
Don't be disrespectful. This country, every country has good and bad, but it's your perspective. This country is the greatest country in the world. Yeah. It's given me so many opportunities and just keeps producing amazing things. Yeah. And the sky's the limit. There's no ceiling. If you're brave enough to take the action. So like for any young person listening, I would say this. First of all, anyone that's being negative in your life right now, you don't need them. And secondly, they're not going to matter to you. Yeah. I was bullied. I mean, like, I was picked on. I'm dyslexic. It's all blah, 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 blah. Those kids that bullied me and picked on me are now my biggest fans. Yep. Yeah. And then go inside yourself and ask, listen, get quiet. Mm-hmm. Ask what feels right. Ask your higher power. What can I do? What feels right? Because we all know what feels right deep down when we get to the bottom, but we're afraid because we're like, oh, if I really do that, people are going to laugh at me. Yeah. The thing that you think everyone's going to laugh at you about, that's the thing you should be doing. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. The thing that you think I'm embarrassed about, get out of your comfort zone because that's the thing that's going to make you grow. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the thing that seems easy. No, and I think the thing that like scares you the most because it's the most like real, if that makes any sense. Right? Yeah. Like the reason why you can think of a million different options for your life and you don't feel any feeling, but the one you're like, oh, I don't know about that one, because it's like you're capable of doing it. Right. It's actually a real fear. It's a stretch. It's a real threat. Yeah, and it's a stretch, and you're like, damn, I got to do some work on this. Yeah. And you've got to. I think people. I don't believe there's a white light experience. I believe you sit in it, and you go, okay, I'm gonna get it done. Yep. Okay, let me ask you this: what else are you planning? Speaking of getting it done, what else are you gonna get done? I mean, when does this run? This run is August.
So in August for 30 freaking days,
Yeah.
just to clarify,
Summer.
half marathon is
13.1 miles. It's the distance of running from here to Arizona in a month. So it's 15 full marathons in a month. It's still a slog.
Okay, so that's coming in August. You're going to crush that.
Yep.
You're going to raise money, raise awareness.
Yep. We're
What
going to
do you-
shoot a documentary doing it.
Ooh, nice. What do you think, like, what's next for you?
I'll be honest with you. I got a new book coming out. It's a training series called The Ultimate Dad Body.
Okay,
It's
like that.
training
Great
from the
name.
house.
Yeah.
Showing people that there's no excuses. I'll teach you how to get fit. And then I'll be honest with you. If I'm praying we raise the money, if we don't raise the money that we need, I will probably do something crazy like run bike, from LA to New York in under 30 days, which is 100 miles a day because it's 2,800 miles from LA to New York.
Yeah.
And get an RV and get a company, give me an RV and go like, I'll raise across the country. I've got to save this girl's life.
Yeah, let's hope you do it with the 30 days.
I'm hoping, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm willing to see how far I
Holy
can push my
cow.
potential.
Yeah. God damn, that's so good.
But you see, a year ago, if someone told me that I would take this 2 years ago when my appendix burst, I'd be like, that's crazy. But now, by just putting it out there mentally, going, I can do this. This is not even, because people run one, right?
Yeah.
1 half marathon. I'm like, but once if you could run 30.
Yeah. Sure, I get yeah.
And then it gives people the opportunity to say, if that crazy old dude can do it with colitis, maybe I can get to the gym for an hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I get it. Okay, let me ask you this.
Go.
You can go back in time,
Yes.
right? Travel back in time. You can go back to, I'm going to say 13 to 16-year-old Mike.
Yep.
Good motivator, but doesn't know it. Ambitious as hell, I'm guessing, but doesn't know it's going to pay off. Dabbling with some drugs. Dyslexic. What would you tell yourself now, knowing all that you've known, learning all you've learned, accomplishing all that you've accomplished?
If I could go back in time, I would have wished I had a mentor.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a kid that's between 13 and 16, get a mentor.
Yeah.
I will suggest 5 books. Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
I think every kid should read it. Right now, if I didn't have, because there's a few books that are written now that weren't written.
Sure, but we'll pretend you can take the books with you.
Okay, The Obstacle is the Way,
Yep.
Ryan Holiday. I think it's an incredible book about facing adversity and finding yourself. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. A beautiful book, well written. I think it can change a kid's life.
Yep.
Emotional Intelligence, Daniel Goleman. Incredible book about managing your emotions. And I would say Ray Dalio Principles, because I think that is such an incredible book for a young kid to read.
Yeah.
And if they read the life principles of Ray Dalio, it could really shift their perception.
Yeah.
And,
Have
and
you
get a
read
mentor.
Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life?
I haven't. I'll have to get it.
You'll like that.
Yeah. And I would say at 13, get a mentor.
Yeah.
Get it. If I would have known, I would never have taken drugs again and drank.
Yeah.
Right? I would have done it. I would just been clean. And would have got a really good mentor. Australia's not about mentors, which sucks.
Yeah.
America's all about mentors. They don't teach you about mentors in Australia. It's like mentor, but
But I'll tell you, obviously at 13 you couldn't do it, but now, and last episode I was talking with Jay Shetty about it, and you can really have a mentor or mentors on podcast, books, even YouTube content. I mean, it's amazing. The amount of content.
It's amazing.
You can legitimately.
You can't fail now.
No.
Well, I look at it like this. You don't need a direct mentor. I'm a direct mentor. I answer people's messages. If people in sobriety hit me up on Messenger, I always answer.
Yep.
But you can get indirect mentors, like you say, podcasts, books. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get it, and you don't need the physical person there.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
so amazing.
I lived in the dinosaur age.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not busy watching Kardashians, Trump stuff, or cat videos, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
But I will say this, and this is something I told someone the other day, and he was angry at the Kardashian, what's her name, the Kylie that made $1 billion something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on a second. If you had the opportunity, you would do what she did with the money.
Oh, yeah.
So why be mad at her?
Yeah, you can't. I'll tell you what, man. That's almost, to me, it's almost a test. It's like you can say you're positive. You can say you have the right mindset. But do you get mad at this? Like this is like because it's so easy to get mad at.
Oh, yeah.
If that bothers you, or it's not fair, or she's not self-made, or whatever it is, you still got work to do.
Well, you know what I always say? You know what's my test is? If I'm in the grocery store and it says 15 items or less,
Yep.
and I start counting how many groceries the person has,
Yeah, that's how you
I need
know.
to check in.
That is so true.
That's not a spiritual person
That
at this
is
point.
so
I'm like, 16 in there.
Get them out of here.
Get it? What? You're ruining my day. If that ruins my day,
Yeah.
then I got to check myself.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, last but not least,
Go.
this is my new one. I just started it last
Yeah, no
episode and
problem.
got a great response. If you could prescribe the world anything that they have to do for 30 days, what would your prescription be?
Simple. Every time you feel disturbed, stop, take a breath, observe, then proceed.
Yep.
And I would do that over and over again because you will learn to manage your emotions.
Yep.
You will learn to manage your fear. You will learn to manage your anxiety by learning to be mindful and breathe diaphragmatically.
Easy. Mike, you crushed it, man. I think there's probably 7 hours worth of lessons and
Well, you said I've got an hour. So I'm like,
So thank you for that. And I feel like we just got a lot of value in that
awesome.
quick amount of time.
So if people want to donate,
please.
can they go to runforlayla.org?
And it's LAYLA.
Yep.
Okay.
Run for Layla, and we'll put it on, .org.
And then what's your Instagram?
The Mike_Diamond.
Perfect. And that you'll be updating everyone on the run where they can stay up to date on it. And if anyone wants to get involved from a brand perspective, they can hit you up on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And if anyone wants to join in on any of your runs, they can hit you up on Instagram.
Yeah.
There it is. Mike, thank you, man. We crushed it.
You're awesome.
There it is.
Thank you, brother. You're the best.
Guys, if you like that and you want to see more like it, as well as vlogs, other web series, and all the random stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube, don't forget to click that subscribe button. You won't regret it, I promise.